This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that coming after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me. But I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100 grand. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas.
Good evening, Bahamas, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Valentino, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. except holidays. I want to say a very warm welcome to each and every one of you who take time with your busy schedule on a Friday. You know, it's your drinking night, your partying night, but you take time out to listen to the show. I'm amazed that some people around the country who have nightclubs and bars and stuff, they would normally have the show on, and then a lot of people will be conversating on the conversation that we're discussing on air, and then everyone said, you know, it's a reflection on what's happening in their lives. So I'm very happy and appreciative that you guys appreciate the show. I have my special guest in studios, but before I do that, let me give you the telephone numbers tonight. But we're going to have a very interesting show, and this show is about development, showing you that partnership and friendship can go a long way into helping developing a small community step by step as a part of the project, but it's also very beneficial to the well-being of the community that these projects are happening. But it also affects the overall progress of the country. So telephone numbers tonight are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and you can listen in on Guardian Quest. You could also listen on Cable Bahamas, I think on the 969, you could listen in, and you're going to listen to this wonderful show that we're going to have tonight. In studios, I have a friend that I've gotten known over the last, 15 years, I should say. We have made a connection. We have had our ups and downs, but we always maintain a friendship because we understand what it takes to develop, you know, so it's just a privilege knowing this gentleman, his family. They're just like my family. I've get to learn a lot about them, their culture, you know, and it helps make a reflection on my life because some things I apply because watching them as a family and a unit, I was able to learn some stuff that I was able to apply in the community that I reside in. You know, so we could each teach one, you know, we can learn something from one another. So anyway, I have this gentleman in the studios that I like for him to introduce himself. He's no stranger to radio.
No stranger. Yes, Scrooge, thank you. My name is Uli Vogels, and I had the privilege actually 10 years ago to start the radio show with you, Scrooge.
Yes, and you're still here today.
You know, so that was after we did the TED Talk in the National Art Gallery. And then we thought, okay, we need a platform to talk about all these exciting projects and developments. And I think Carlton, right?
Carlton Smith.
Carlton Smith was the editor-in-chief, general manager, and he thought, oh, that's a good idea. So Inside the Inner City started 10 years ago, and so. Happy inside the inner city.
But it's remarkable. It's the partnership with myself meeting you and your wonderful wife, who's doing extremely well, traveling a lot. And, you know, we met and our personality connected. And immediately, you know, people are not selfish. That's what I learned. Some of them are not selfish. They are willing to help. And Amanda mentioned it, Yuli mentioned it. They said, you could have a wonderful platform at Guardian Radio. We're going to talk to my people, you and Amanda. And then, we got called up, and now we're here 10 years.
10 years later.
And we have made great progress. We have invited many different community leaders to come on the show, people who are doing wonderful programs in the country, never had a platform, helping assist them, getting sponsors and et cetera. Also talking about things that really matter that is not discussed, in the country, whether it's prison, whether it's politics, whether it's the church, whether it's what happened in the inner city community, whether it's what happened in the families in the inner city community, and what's affecting the families and the people, and what we need to help change their mindset. And we're doing all that working together. And Yuli has been someone I can depend on who understands, He asks a lot of questions, but he understands what needs to happen and how it can work or what cannot work. And, it's a work in progress, but it's progress that is being very, 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 I should say, it has taken us a long, long way just working with one another. Okay.
Well, Antonius Roberts introduced us.
That's right.
And I never told you that, but I was scared.
When you first met me.
When he told me about you there's this guy on Lewis Street, and he's like a community leader, and he had his past, but now he's just like the mayor of the inner city. And I was scared, and then we met, and I remember that I was on the Hay Street basketball court for the first time, and then I asked you whether it's okay that I can sit there and watch, and you were like, yeah, sure, of course, we have to connect and we have to be open, and over the course of the 10 years I really would say this is part of my home.
Yes, you see that.
Part of my home. Whenever I go and see you, there are people, and they hail me, and they come, and I think we've did some good jobs. This morning I drove by our little urban garden,
yes,
which took us such a long time, really. But now it's thriving.
It's thriving. You see all the bananas?
Yeah.
All right.
And all the grow beds are being maintained. And so the community really adopted them. I remember when we built this the first time. Someone came and said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, we're growing tomatoes and bananas." And he literally looked at me and I said, "I can buy my own tomatoes." And I'm like, dude, this is not the point. This is not the point. This is, we can do things here ourselves. And obviously food sustainability is a big issue. The other day I was at Super Value, and the container didn't come in, and boy, it was just empty. You couldn't get anything, nothing. Yeah, and we have to think about these things. We really do. Like a hurricane is coming, and we don't have the containers coming in. We're in trouble. Yeah,
I think a few years back, it wasn't too long ago, when we had some kind of hurricane happening in the country, and we had the whole island blackout. You remember that, when all the electricity was off?
Yeah, Matthew.
That was Matthew?
I think so.
And that's the prime example what you're talking about. We couldn't even find a need,
Yeah.
And the remarkable thing with what you were saying, right, is that we even lost our way. Let me give you a prime example. Where we get so sophisticated and we are not, like, you're talking about food sustainability, meaning that we should have fruits, vegetables, even the fish and everything here in abundance, because, we are an island. We have 700 islands, 700 keys. So there's no way we can have a volume of different fruits and vegetables and cattle and whatever, et cetera, if we put the emphasis where we need to put the emphasis on. Okay? So now, my cousin, right, he not my cousin. This was someone who was passing, right? So they were saying, man, my gas still going out, right? Now, we all know we is be humans. And that's why it's not good to lose your weight. It means your history, your knowledge, and etc. So now he say gas out. So he said he cooking on the stove. Now this when the stores was closed, there was nothing in the store. So now I outside. He see all the smoke. He looking at me, and he ain't even see. I get my my old rim. I get my old car rim. I get my sticks, and etc. I get my frying pan. I get my my old fridge. The thing about you put in the fridge when you pull out the grill. I get the grill on my little stove. I get my fire right there, and I cook in my my food. Now let me see what I was cooking. I think I was cooking turkey and rice. Okay, so he is talking to me over in my yard, right, saying he owe the gas. All I can see is smoke, right? So I look at it and I'm laughing. I say, you owe the gas? I say, so what are you doing right down here? You don't believe you was looking at it and still didn't catch on? Until I say, what are you doing now? Yeah. Then when you catch yourself, you all out. Oh, I say, you lost your weight. I said, all you got to do is go to get some rock, get one old car rim, put some old sticks in there, and then you light your fire. Yeah. And then you have your fire. So, yes, we have to be sustainable. We have to maintain our old weight.
But, maybe it's a good segue. First of all, I always like to say I really love this country. Yes. Really. I mean, my wife is Bahamian. My children are Bahamian. I'm from Germany, but I feel this is home, and I'm not going anywhere. So just want to say this, but it's always good to be able to take a step back and to look at things and what we can do better, right? So currently, or since almost 5 years, I'm the curator at the Central Bank for the art program and the collection there. And yesterday night, we had an opening, a night to remember, really. It was Eddie Menes, one of our national icons.
Heroes.
And we opened a collection, we opened the exhibition of the collection of his cartoons, So Eddie Menes worked from 1971 until 1981. The first 5 years at The Guardian, the second 5 years at The Tribune, and every day except weekends, he drew a cartoon. And these cartoons were, contemporary witnesses, right? So
Sip.
So it was potluck. Potluck, right? He was actually the first who did these cartoons. Then later at The Guardian followed Stan Burnside with Sideburns. And the newer generation was then Jamal Roll.
Okay.
So potluck, and you might remember Granny and Fleabag. Those were the characters he developed. So one of my favorite one in the exhibition is basically it's just a black piece of paper, and it says load shedding is a thing of the past. And then you look at it, and it's from 1973.
We have the same problem.
So it would be funny if it wouldn't be so sad. So and you can really walk through this exhibition and look at these cartoons, and you
would see the time frame.
Yeah, not really.
All right.
No, you walk through and you think these cartoons are from yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is even the more political cartoons with then caricatures of politicians from that time. Yes, they are more specific, but you could just exchange the faces, and again we have the same situations.
Wow.
And that, I don't know, should we should think about this. First of all, I think we should all come and see this exhibition at the art gallery of the central bank, and it's open to the public. It's free. It's every day from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and it is really an interesting survey of our past.
Human history.
Past, well, even if it's only covered 10 years, but you can really see what we did or not did in the past 50 years. And again, to the country, really happy independence.
Okay. Wow. Yuli's just an amazing guy. Not only beside him being the creator of the National Art Gallery, and we talk of Mr. Antonio Roberts. He's a fantastic gentleman. That's how I get to meet Yuli, his wife, his family, and many others, along with Ms. Alexander Melis. I met her before I met Yuli. They're just wonderful people who really like the ideas, what I'm doing, and very supportive of me. And to this day, I wouldn't be where I am today without their assistance and helping pushing me. And they're driving me because I don't want to fail, because I feel failure is not an option for me, especially when I look at the community, when there's high unemployment in the community and when there's poverty in the community. And I feel as a leader, I feel I have to make a difference in that particular community and the country at large, to make a difference in the future generation of that community, to make sure that each and every one of them stand a chance of having an opportunity to enjoy this wonderful country that we so-call the Bahamas. Besides really being a creator, he has also been my partner in a project that we do in the inner city community. But also he is being creative enough to come up with creative ideas. If you ride around some of the schools, you'd see like H. Nash, you'd see murals on the wall. You would see murals on the Old City Market. Y'all just did a jamboree by the Old City Market about a month ago. Could you explain that to us and what it was all about?
Well, the murals were done by C.V. Bethel students and Preston Hanna. The Old City Market is an eyesore. There's no way around it, and I don't know why we haven't done anything with the Old City Market. Now with the murals, looks a little better. But you remember when we had the students from Vienna here, the architectural and urban design students, and they looked at the Old City Market, and there were like so many ideas, like a skating ring or a basketball ring, which would be covered. I don't know. There's so many ideas. Oh man, now we have a Junkanoo Museum. Have you been to the port?
Not yet.
The new port is. I was skeptical, but I have to say they did a good job.
Wow.
They did a good job there.
They pleased you. They really did a good job.
Yeah. And part of it is Junkanoo Museum, and I'm not sure whether it's open yet. Might be open now for the Independence weekend, but I think that's a good step in the right direction. But just going back to the city market, a mural is nice, but a mural shouldn't just cover up. Yeah. I think the mural we did at the Reinhardt Hotel, that is interesting because it tells really an important part of our history. I don't know how many people know that this was part of The Voice, the first PLP, a newspaper, and the first hotel where actually.
The tourists used to come over on mix and mingle, black and white.
Black could stay here overnight, and Mabel Walker. It was an important location for the suffragette movement. And I remember I did a walk about Chris Davies from AMMC years ago, and he talked about the Reinhardt Hotel a lot, and I was just not where is this hotel? And it's on Blue Hill Road. It's on Blue Hill Road, at the corner of Tin Shop corner, right? Tin Shop.
Yeah, it is Tin Shop.
And now we were able to create this make a way so that people can recognize this landmark, right? So I think this is what a mural actually should do. Yeah.
And as we were traveling, the students from Vienna, Austria, and Julia spoke about, the old city market. There were many ideas put forward. So tell us a little bit, Julia, you're a really creative guy, because you take in things, you look and you see the beauty, you could see a tree, an old building, you could see a yard, and you could say, wow, this is a green space here, or let's leave that there, and let's do some of that, you're very creative. So tell us how the transformation took place between the National Art Gallery and Great Cliff. There was a lot of old abandoned places through that. I was talking to you a few years ago, and you mentioned the fact that, we need to clean this down here. You're going to talk to the owners and stuff. I've seen quite a wonderful development happen in that one stretch from the National Art Gallery to Great Cliff. A volume of tourists and taxi drivers and behemoths are making a good living through that one corner across from Government House. Tell us a little bit about that and your connections and with.
But that is really the initiative of the Gazzaroli family, who owns Great Cliff,
right?
And I think they did a super smart thing. They looked at all the buildings in the street, and if you remember, I don't know, 8 years ago,
a lot was
it
abandoned.
Looked different.
It was abandoned. It was abandoned.
Yeah, so they managed to
talk to the property owners,
or even buy it.
Yes.
But how difficult it is.
It was. It's expensive building.
Well, yes, and then to know, the ownership. Yeah, I think this is a big problem we have.
Yeah.
That it is not just easy. I can go and
acquire
and get even the research, the information, who actually owns it.
From the Land and Survey Department, it's very difficult.
It's very difficult, and we have this thing. We have Amanda's family. They have a little property in Eleuthera, and even though all the living relatives agree, we cannot do anything with the property because we don't know, that there is a will missing and probation. No, what is that?
Probation period.
Yeah, so whatever. It's a complicated legal matter, and that prevents development.
Yes,
that prevents development. So the Gazzarolis then, they were able to do a lot with this street. This is West Hill.
Yes.
And except with the corner one, when you are
the one to the bottom hill,
where the traffic light is, is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this one is just painted, but vacant.
Okay.
It's a great building. It's a great building. Has an amazing glass facade to the north. North light for an artist is the best. So that could be an amazing artist studio, but they just painted it. So
to beautify it, because you don't want to leave it like that. You just beautify it. Not to say be able to go on people's private property.
Right, but Scrooge, it would be better if it's not just beautified, but if you then have content. That's the next step.
Yes.
I mean, a shiny building is one thing, but you have to develop content. So
yes, and that's what like what's happening on Bay Street. One content because you have Great Cliff, and you have a lot of spots for tourists to stop and mix and mingle. So you have a volume of people in there, not create an economy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm trying to create a green economy in the community that I reside in. That's why I'm working so closely with you guys and Antonio Roberts and Alexander Melis and many others.
And that's actually what they are doing then in Hillside House, which is right around the
Green
corner.
space.
You know, that's a lot is going on there.
I can see that.
A lot is going on there. Yeah, and a lot of visitors are now being attracted. You know, they're going to Hillside House, then they are moving up to the Grey Cliff to West Hill Street.
National Art
Then
Gallery.
there's the National Art Gallery.
Can I see them going around the
By
corner?
the way, National Art Gallery. Yesterday at the opening, we took a moment of silence to remember Gail Saunders. Gail Saunders, who passed away last week, who was a
Historian.
founding member of the National Art Gallery, and obviously, the archives, the library.
Tells it all.
Gail Saunders was another, national treasure. So,
and I had the privilege of meeting her a few times also. And she's was a very wonderful lady.
Yeah, she was. And again, now we look at the National Art Gallery and say, this is there, but you have to just think how difficult it is to envision things. At one point it was an empty building, falling apart, and then you have to have the idea and the vision, and obviously then the funding to create something, and then it is there. It's the same with the murals.
Yes.
The same with the murals.
Yes.
You have nothing. You have a wall, and then you prime the wall, and then you create a wall with Martin Luther King or Randall Fawkes and Dr. Love, and then suddenly it is there, And just remember, you take it away. Then you're missing something, But this is about envision things.
So today I show that you as a citizen can be creative and envision things, manifest it, and like Yuli said, get the proper funding. And the day show shows you that this can work. We give prime example. We talked about Great Cliff. We talked about the National Art Gallery. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about how Yuli is helping us and his family is helping us with the development that we've been doing for the last 10 years in the community. Now is going to be very beneficial as part of the creator of the national, part of the creator of Central Bank. And like I said, I was saying the National Art Gallery because his wife, was formerly the director of the National Art Gallery.
For 10 years, yeah.
For 10 years, and she did a phenomenal job up there. And, they collaborate together. They were traveling the world, going on these... what I say? These, what you call them? When you go to the, what you call it, Yuli? What you call it?
What did you say?
When you travel, all the pictures and all the stuff.
Art fairs?
The art fairs.
Art fairs, yeah.
And they travel a lot, and they're very interested in art. And I'd just like to say, they also are interested in the country that they reside in. Some of the partnership that me and Yuli and his wife were working on, just the murals in the Lewis Creek area. Also working on the cleanup. Some of the artists I also told Yuli, and he's been a part of that also because we work closely with Bahamas Waste, Franny, who I think is a wonderful gentleman.
Yeah, Franny de Cardenas.
Yeah, Franny yes. I give a thumbs up to him. He has been helping us the last 10 years in the community. We have moved tons and tons of trash from throughout that community. We remove abandoned houses from through that community, We have got a lot of rats, abandoned cars. It's a lot of work in progress, It's still a lot of work to do, but we're on the right track. And some of the projects that we're working on now is murals. If you pass through Lewis Street now, you'll see the Wall of Respect. It was an idea of Ed Dorset, Yuli, and myself, and a few others, Antonio Roberts, and that was able to show the history on the wall on Lewis Street. It was helped sponsored by, we got a sponsor from Life Care Canada in the Moscows.
No, Osprey.
Offspray, yes.
Yeah.
They got some sponsors to fix the wall, and then Yuli, was on the ground, and we got some sponsors. We got it done. But like you really say, it was nothing for us. We looked at it. Mr. Dawson mentioned it, and we went ahead and we worked together. Now it's a beautiful mural wall on Lewis Street, but now we want to go from one end to the next end of Lewis Street, and as you can see, we're partnershiping now, where we're fixing the wall through Lewis Street for the residents. We're also building small garbage bins for the residents in the community so that the dogs don't go and throw the trash. So where we see it's necessary to make some adjustments for the community resident. All this is free. These are some of the things that we're seeing that needs to be done in the community to make it a place for the tourists to come through and for us to live in a community that is clean, prestige, and it's respectful, not an eyesore, not no bulk wake. So we're work in progress. So the whole of Lewis Street is going to have bins like on where Great Cliff. If you're walking on Great Cliff, you'd see some bins, very nice bins, garbage bins, where you could drive or walk, and instead of turning on the side of the road, we'd have about 10 or 15 of those on Lewis Street. So if a car's driving through or if you're walking through, instead of you dropping it on the ground, you would take it and put it in the garbage bin. And then we, in a day or two, would come around and remove it as part of the community effort to keep the area maintained as clean as possible, because that's what we want to do. And this is going to change the mindset of people driving through, because you'd see the bins on the side of the road. So there's no reason for you to stop your car and just throw it out no more. You'd look and see there's enormous bins, and you'd respect that. They'd stop that car and they'd throw it in the bin. And that's the kind of stuff that we're changing the mindset on, and we're working on that now. And then basically there are some bins, like some garbage bins that are damaged to the community. So we're going from one end of Lewis Street to the next end, and we're going to repair all the residents' garbage bins to make sure, like I said, it's secure, the trash is secure, that dogs don't get to it no more. It'll have a roof, build it up with blocks, and it'll be there for a very, very long time. So we have two set of bins set on the side of the road. We repair some of the bins that are personal garbage bins that are very damaged. And then we're also fixing the walls. Our wall we're working on now is the Dr. King wall. Antonio Roberts, over 2-3 years ago, along with Lenahan, Bahamas. And I think Yuli was involved. We were always involved in it. But they put up the sign. But immediately after they put up the sign, it got knocked down. Someone came from the one-way and knocked down the Dr. King sign. We repaired it. Now we just finished completing it. We're in talks now with Yuli. Now we just got the ping today. So you're going to see where we putting the sign back up at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stayed in Lewis Street in 1958 for 3 days. And people must notice he did not spend his first time in the Bahamas in Bimini. His first visit to the Bahamas in 1958, Grandstand Lewis Street, when he came to the aid of Sir Randall Fox. And we've also made that a historical site in the Lewis Street area. So we're cleaning up that yard, the neighboring yard, and we're going to put up that sign so that when the guests and visitors reach in there, they'd say, well, no, this is the host. That's our first step. So there's a lot of work in progress.
One of my favorite stories when Martin Luther King, who was back then already a person of interest, right? When he wanted to come to the Bahamas, he would send a telegram to Fred Manning's Sr., and this telegram would only say, "Violets are blue."
Secret word.
And then, they would know he's coming and set up his stay on Lewis Street, and he would go to the Cat and the Fiddle.
Yes.
And there's this famous photo with him, right? And was it Randall Fox?
Yes.
Randall Fox, Martin Luther King.
Yes.
And this is important. This is great history, and I don't know how many people really know this. Yeah. And the question would be, how can you change this? I mean, I had this conversation today in the paint shop when I got the paint for the wall, and I told the story, and they were like, I have no idea. So how can we tell these stories?
By what we're doing.
Yes, or more oral history, really.
Books.
There are definitely people, they know this better, so that we don't forget. It's important.
And all of this we're working on naming people. Like you said, you was here in 1958. But not only that, there's no street in Nassau, New Providence has more historical icons than Lewis Street. Here's some history for everyone. Excuse me. As great as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is, as great as Dr. Marcus Garvey was, and they were fighting for civil rights, equality. Do you Bahamians ever heard about Dr. Robert Love? Do you know that both of those gentlemen, Marcus Garvey and Dr. Martin Luther King and Sir Ronald Fox, do you know all of them aspire after Dr. Robert Love? And do you know that Dr. Robert Love stayed on Lewis Street? Do you know that Marcus Garvey came to Lewis Street in 1927 along with Jackson Burnside Sr. and L.W. Young? So it's three. And did you know that Sir Ronald Fox, right, who was our greatest civil rights leader, and who himself taught Martin Luther King about civil rights? Because when he came to the Bahamas, Sir Ronald was an established civil rights leader. He was an established politician, and he knew the law well. And there was no other place in the world where you were up to the task because you were dealing with the British administration at that time. And he was the number one civil rights leader at that time in the whole Western Hemisphere before Dr. King. And he got his inspiration from Dr. Robert Love. And all four of these men followed that path of greatness and fighting for equal rights and justice for all human beings. So all that happened right through Lewis Creek. All of that, Julie. And we did the research. And this is how we're going to let them know by keep on talking about these stories and making it.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be great if, for example, the building where Martin Luther King stayed, the green building, wouldn't that be just a no-brainer to turn this into a place, right, where visitors could come and learn about this?
You try to use my voice psychology on me.
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to be the smart one, but you used my voice psychology on me.
But you remember, I think you were referring when the Smithsonian Institute was there, and there was a bit pomp and circumstances.
The U.S. Embassy.
The U.S. Embassy was involved. And
Antiquities and money from the Bahamas.
Exactly, and I think Dr. Tinker was there.
Tinker.
And they brought in some plants to make it pretty.
Yes.
and then,
the Bahamas government also.
Yep, and then there was this one afternoon, and there was a ceremony, and it ended that they suggested that this part of Lewis Street should be renamed
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard.
It's correct. It's correct.
And
it's correct.
This is what happened, and then they all left,
and that was it.
And that was it.
And and they made it. And it is designated the historical site by the U.S. Embassy and Antiquities and
the Smithsonian Institute.
And the Smithsonian Institute.
So they all checked.
All them checked. So
nothing happened.
So you see, it's because it takes voices like myself and yourself to continue to push it. It's there. It's done a historical site, and your suggestion of turning it into a museum was the one we suggested long
time.
So
who owns the building?
The lady, she's in the book, Miss Patrice. I got his name in the book. Miss Patrice, I got her name.
See, but that's a bit what I mean. And is it not possible to acquire the building?
Excuse me. Now, Yuli, remember you talked about property in Lutra, and then, it's the same thing with these places. There are family members who are family, sisters and brothers, and they don't agree.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this particular family, but they don't agree. And before they agree, they'll disagree.
Yeah.
But this is where government can step in now and make the difference now, because we have all information. If they're talking about making the Bahamas a better place, they want the historical sites and that, be.
Yeah.
Well, this is the opportunity.
Because it's not just about creating a museum. It is creating economy.
Economy.
So right now you have, and you show me the tourists, right?
They're coming through. They're coming through on a regular basis. They need a place to stop.
But exactly, they are all in their taxi. They stop. Maybe, and or they just drive through. But if they would really stop, get out of the car, they
stop by the restaurant, stop by the museum.
Let's stick with the museum first. So would pay a decent entrance fee to the museum.
$2.
And then they need something to drink. They get a switcher at the next corner. This is how we prevent that more people doing foolish things, because you create economy, and if you make money with one thing, you don't have to deal with others.
And with the volume of people coming into the museum, knowing the history of the area, okay, it gives a chance for those people in the area who go through the proper training with the new community center, new community center where they get the training for basic small trades.
Yeah.
They can learn making jungle dolls, making jungle artifacts. They're creative. They can make beam and authentic scroll works.
Yeah.
If you watch the disabled people, and some of them could purchase their stuff in the disabled home, because the disabled people, they are so crafty with their hands, and the blind and the deaf. I can't believe it. They make the beautiful set of slippers. They make the beautiful scroll bags and etc. So even as a Bahamian, you could even support them, because you could buy from them, because the tourists want authentic Bahamian stuff.
Yeah.
And you could buy from them and be selling right there. But besides, even some people making it, but I'm saying we could support one another with this initiative, and that could create an economy. The sky's the limit.
I agree.
The sky's the limit.
I think
Graycliff did it.
This is a no-brainer. But now the thing is with Grantstown or Baintown or Mason Addition, it doesn't get more authentic than that.
That's right.
Right? I mean, I think yes, Graycliff did a great job, but it is also artificial.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's great, but the Pirate Museum there, and and then they sell the wine there, but remember, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
This is gonna happen.
At the open call in 2020. We had this winning proposal of the recreation of the Dead Cat Alley. Dead Cat Alley. So the one coming from the water tower down into Mason Addition. No?
Yes.
Which used to be a very, very important link.
Yes. Yes, that was the roadway.
So we had this proposal that this could become like a mosaic. And again, murals up there around the water tower, which would then lead people down into Mason Addition.
The three steps.
The steps, and then they would look around and look up Dead Cat Alley, and it would be a mosaic, and then they could walk
to the jungle
through
shacks.
Mason, through the Saxon shacks,
the
leaning bar, the little blue bar, all the way to McCullough Corner, or where the Chinese Super Center is now. This is where the Silver Slipper was.
Yes.
Right. So KK Tong, who is a great supporter of the community too. We talked about. There's a lot of talk. So sorry.
It's happening,
but it will happen.
It's happening. We don't talk it. We're doing it. It's not talk. We're doing it, Yuli.
Step by step. Takes a long time, but it happened. So that this could be another mural showing, this was the Silver Slipper, and then going over to Louis Street. I mean, there's so so much to see. When I see the horse carriages on Shirley Street or on Bay Street, and they are pointing, oh yeah, here, this is the First Caribbean, and this is the U.S. Embassy, and I mean, seriously, we have so much
to offer.
So much to offer, but it's not on this side of the hill. You know, you have to just imagine you would walk down into Mason Edition, and there are the horse carriages, and the horse carriages are taking you really through the heart of Nassau, the authentic heart of Nassau. I mean, seriously, I would pay for that.
And
you just have to ask yourself.
And that's why when I saw Yuli and the students from Vienna, Austria, and they were walking with me when we were doing the project, and I said to myself, wow, they are fascinated. So what I'm looking at, right? I say, what are they looking at and they're so fascinated? Then paying attention. I say, wow, green space. They talking about the museum and, you know, and little small little stuff, you know. You could sit down and have your Wi-Fi and your coffee, and man, I say, so when I started to look at it from that angle, I say, wow, so this here could turn into a tourist attraction. So when you talk about Mason Edition, and his wife is being Yuli been living here, and he understands what it takes to make things happen for the community. So, Dead Cat Alley, right? What it is?
Dead Cat Alley.
Dead Cat Alley. So what are you saying is this? The UMC is getting built. You have the 66th step, okay? Then on the 66th step, you have the water tower. In the water tower, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture did build a lot of stalls by the 66th step. It was estimated they was making $1.7 million when this was running before the COVID-19 period. It was estimated it was making $1.2 million with those stalls right there by the water tower. There's some stalls they built. Donnie Johnson, I could always remember this because he said he was listening to what we were talking, when he was listening to the show, and he went ahead because his father's property is where surrounding father used to live. And he ran and he made the proposal and he built some stalls across from the water tower.
Yeah,
and
we've been there recently because we actually went up the water tower. We went up there. This was with AMMC and the Ministry of Works, and I'm not sure when it was the last time that anyone went into the water tower, except thousands of pigeons. I'm telling you.
So
there was an elevator, right? Which obviously didn't work. We had to walk up the stairs, but up there on top of the water tower, the view is another $1 million view. I mean, these are the things I would pay to walk up the water tower. You know, this is a great attraction. I mean, if you are in Milan, the churches are charging you that you walk up the church towers. You know, and people are doing this in masses. So why are we not doing this?
And we have so many churches in the grandstand, and that's one of the part of the attraction also. Because when the students from Vienna, Austria came in, remember, I took them into the local churches, and they got a bird's eye view. Some of them never set foot in the church before, and they got to learn about the culture, and they say they was amazed to hear how some of the sermons was going on and stuff like that. So all this opened my eyes to say, you know, all this is attraction. See, for me, and I always like to get off on this path. I used to be on the park, all right? Me and my boys, we play ball on Sunday. So we looking for work, and we always looking for work. So I say, wow, we have customers, means the guests always pass, and they're nice taxis. So, we playing ball. So all we doing is putting up a hand. So I always say to myself, if only we could get them to stop here. And imagine some girls who had proper training, we sponsor them a little $5,000 or $10,000 to build a little small stall, probably on the park or home. But we create, like how we're talking about, a little green space in the economy up in the area of at least 10 or 20 people who we personally get the funding to train them in their small business, teach them money management, teach them how to be hospitality to the guests, teach them about cleanliness and how you're going to clean up the area, teach you about how to be courteous to one another so that we could have the guests come in our community, stop each and every one of us and spend a few American dollars, right? So I always say this. Taxi drivers them pass through in droves. And then, like I say, I had a handsome guy. So all we do is we on the court, we just wave our hand. And I say I look like a gorilla, right? So they just pass and take some pictures. So all I'm saying, we're not benefiting from the tourism industry because the tourists want to come and stop. Just like talking about Bay Street. We have to create an economy in areas that are closer to Bay Street so that we can create a lot of employment for residents in the community because to bring down poverty. And poverty brings down people making bad decisions.
Yeah.
All right? So that's all I'm saying. So the taxi driver just pass every day. The guests are coming and they just waving. So I always tell the friends in the Bog Boy, I's a gorilla, and so I wave. And I tell my boys, you look like a giraffe and this one look like this. That's what I'm saying. But I saying, could you imagine what we are doing now to get them to stop? And that's what we're doing in development in these areas. Because when you talk about the Mason Strip, you talk about coming down from Dead Cat Alley down those steps. You can imagine you put lights, you can imagine you clean up on the side of those steps, and a few people who live there could set up stalls, properly trained, screened, get their business license, and they could set up stalls on the three of those steps coming down from Masons.
Yeah.
Straight down there. And then to the Sharks would be different attraction. And then the parks. You know how much empowerment we could bring?
And listen, and I'm careful now, and I know it's not my place, but it's an observation. When I now hear that I don't know how many new police cars have been bought, really nice, shiny police cars, and they are now driving around. Some of that money could have actually used to create this economy.
Yes.
Because this is the cure, right? This is the cure. We are not maintaining, right now we are just maintaining the status quo. We are maintaining what is happening and trying to bring it down a notch here and a notch there.
And the budget keep on going up.
But
The budget keep on going up.
It has to be the economy. The economy is the key. Again, if you make money with a good job, you don't need to make money with foolish things
like guns.
It's very, very simple. It's very simple. And I remember that we were at Collins Wall with the students, and the police came, asked us what we are doing there. We explained everything. It was part of the National Development Plan. We explained everything. And they said, no, you can't be here. And they called a bus
and locked me up.
That was another time.
That's the second time,
That was another time. That was when the police asked you, what is the purpose of you walking down the street?
And I said,
that was another time.
And I said, I'm doing service for the Office of the Prime Minister on behalf of the Office of the Prime Minister. And they wouldn't believe me, like for 2 cents. And I got locked up. And I still ain't got an apology to this day.
Yeah. Again,
Go ahead.
I appreciate obviously the work the officers are doing.
Yeah.
And we need our police, and I see that they are changing and working hard on it. So I appreciate this obviously as a citizen here. And yet I would suggest that we should look into all these opportunities we have there, and we are not using them.
Yes.
And that would be, as I said, that would be a cure. There would be a cure on not just maintaining our disease.
Yes.
And because that it is. It's a disease.
We have record set pace of 7 million. Now we passed the 7 million. They say it's estimated we could go to 10 million times a year end of visitors. Now, Yuli, you know what it is? To me, they're not visitors. They are customers. So how I look at it, they're customers. So if we train our people, we create some small business opportunities and small business in areas that are closest to Bay Street. That's Mason Edition, that's Grandstand, that's on the top of Dainton, and places like, walkable. And I feel that if we start to empower those residents up in there with small businesses, which will lead to small jobs and small contracts, and then the money would trickle down, straight down.
I mean, I think the new port, as I said, well done, will help that the cruise ship passengers are actually leaving the boat again, because there are really many return customers, return travelers on these cruise ships, but their attitude is, we've been here
Before,
nothing more to see. We just stay here. And now with the port, people will leave the boat, and I would assume that, as you said, that this helps then to trickle.
It has to be.
But again, you have to create
You have to
connection.
create it.
You have to connect
And we have
the
that.
connection. Another interesting, I think, new development are the Airbnb guests.
I like
Boy, when
Get involved.
you're on Gladstone Road and you see some white couple standing there waiting for the bus or so, you're like, Airbnb
Yes.
forever.
Yes.
I sometimes feel really,
Happy to see that.
No,
Sad?
I feel sad for them when they are at the bus stop.
wait for the bus
at the bus stop, and
It could be hour. It could be hour.
no bus coming. No bus coming.
So you see, people be creative. You could get your Airbnb. These things you're gonna have to do. But first of all, you're gonna have to put the work in it. You can't be waiting around on government or waiting someone to do something for you. Me, I is a go-getter, and I go get. I find people who are going someplace in life, who I could have a good relationship with, who I could call up and say, I get a great idea. I think it could be beneficial to the community. You think you want to be a part of it? And they are very supportive. We support one another. And that's what the friendship is all about. I'm so glad to meet Mr. Antonio Roberts, Miss Alexander Milas. I love her to death.
She was there last night at the
I missed
Eddie
her just
Minnis-
last night.
at the Minnesota.
Julia.
And you promised to show up.
Julie, you might don't believe what happened to me. I ain't gonna lie. I ended up with a nice young girl last night. And
Say what?
I ended up talking with a young girl last night in the club, right? And when I checked out, I guess so all tipsy. Excuse me. I couldn't even walk straight last night because I had so much fun, Julie. So, excuse me.
Okay, great. Yeah, great to talk about this over the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I had fun last night. It was wonderful.
Well,
But Ms. Alexander Milas, her nephews, George and George and the whole entire Milas family, your wife, Brent Simonet, Robin Simonet, the Dorset family, Porky Dorset, Mr. Dorset from East Gospel Chapel, Pastor Huda Roll, Pastor Ferguson from Big Harvest Community,
then Mitzi
Burrows,
from
Miss, my friend, Miss Sheila
Pritchard.
Miss Sheila Pritchard. She's just awesome. She is doing a tremendous job working with Lenahan Bahamas and bringing resources in there. So,
and then the Greek from Lenahan Bahamas. Sorry, Lucas
Metropolis. That's my name, and my partner in Lenahan Bahamas who came to assist me. Now he's the director of the president of Lenahan Bahamas. Mitzi is the director. Miss Sheila Pritchard is just, she's everything.
And we worked with Mitzi back when you and I did Violets Are Blue.
Violets Are Blue, and that's how Mitzi get to Lenahan Bahamas, and now she's doing very well of giving back. There's so many people. Pastor Huda Roll, I call his name already. Yeah. People from the Office of the Prime Ministers who I work with. All of them, we're working together through that system.
Pastor Huda Roll is the brother of Jacqueline Sands, who is the executive assistant to the governor role at the central bank.
Wow.
So, see?
Everything is
everything is connected.
Yes,
everything is connected.
Yes. And there's so many other people who I can't give thanks to. Gandhi Pinder, Miss Elaine Pinder, Bamboo Shack, Miss Debbie Bartlett, John Boswick. Man, there's so many people who I'm very thankful to just have a relationship with, who have assisted with my development, but also to help push me, and that's what keep on pushing me. But you guys are really my driving force, because like this is not to be racist, has nothing to do with it. Working with our people who is the same color, unless they learn to have a conversation, unless they see what we can do working together to achieve a goal and get rid of that Black Rob syndrome. I would advise people to find good friends and people who are positive mind, if you really want to make change, because you could be around a lot of people who you're talking sense, but their mind is not matching your mind. And even though if we work together, we can achieve great things, it's very, very difficult, to deal with. I'd say black brothers. There are few who you could work with, but it's hard to work with your own color, man. It's hard. Because I think that because the hardship, the stress and the poverty has taken a toll on us, and like we just want to tear one another apart. You know what I mean? Like we have to break out of that if we want to see a better country. If we want to make progress, we be in a room and we
yeah. But Scrooge, I think it's a disconnect.
It's a disconnect.
I think it's not really meant to not help the community. It is really, if you, and I see it myself. I mean, I used to be on Louis Street and Hay Street every day, right? When we did the garden and
many projects,
yeah. And then when I got another job, you have to be there, right? 9 to 5, and after that you're going home to your family and you have dinner. So I'm less often with you guys. And this is the same even for member of parliament.
Yeah.
You're elected, and then you are running from meeting to meeting, and you cannot spend more time actually with your constituency. I think it's a big problem.
Yes.
But I think there is a lot of goodwill and less time, and because again, one meeting deciding about the next meeting.
You're right.
I don't know how to solve that. But I see what progress you are doing.
Yes.
Making. This is great. This is great.
So I'm making up for that, So I don't really try to get too much people involved in the project. What do we do is I get the resources, I talk to people, and we come in and do the work. And you know what to do? It's starting to change their mindset. Remember I told you, say, I'm a strategist. So by doing that, just go in helping the residents, helping them fix their garbage, I help them fix their wall, help them cut down a tree in the yard, or help them clean up their yard with trash in it. Doing it without charging them, change their mindset. Because they come and I come and inspect it. If I just see it, I just come in the team. And I'd come and clean it up. And all you could do is be standing at the door, and then you'd offer some water or buy some juice or something. But at the end of the day, you would still give us something to eat at the end of the day.
But it's a simple thing, right? If you see that your environment, your neighborhood is beautified, that people are paying respect. You mentioned the garbage bins,
yes.
And that not the pot cakes are getting in there, and then next morning everything is
spill on the ground.
Just cross the street again. That helps. That helps.
Yes.
Because then you again start to
see progress,
beautify your garden, and there are some so beautiful maintained houses in Grantstown,
yes.
and Baintown, and remember this one building on Hay Street at the corner of, which was a a bed and breakfast. You know where it is? It's like a red building.
That's the pink building, eh?
Or pinkish,
Yeah,
yeah, close to the court. Just imagine this would become again a little hotel, a little Airbnb. Yeah, amazing.
And that's what it was.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
Yes.
And that's what many people don't understand. In the area, besides the France Hotel, we had a lot of A, B, and B, where gas, white and black, we used to stay in the community. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that created the economy. And again, people don't understand this. What we're trying to accomplish is to provide an opportunity for us to regain our beauty again in our country. Okay? Our dignity. Beautifying the walls, beautifying the streets, changing the mindset of the community, getting rid of the rats, getting rid of the roaches, getting rid of all the abandoned cars, and putting...
Yeah. Good luck with the roaches.
Well, we got rid of a lot.
They are everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're just everywhere. But what I learned in the Eddie Minnis exhibition, Rupert Missick, he was... that must have been in the 70s, that he had a theater on Hay Street. That is an interesting fact.
Say it again.
Rupert Missick. So he.
I heard the name before,
and I'm not entirely sure where on Hay Street. So that would be the next.
And he had a movie.
No, a theater.
I could be.
Yeah. So he was. Thinking that the Dundas and the must have been already our performance, the national, what is that called? The national performance.
Cat and Fiddle?
No, the one on Shirley Street.
National Performance Arts?
Yeah, the letters, by the way, are coming off. So maybe somebody wants to fix that. So he created this theater on Hay Street, and that was a bit of history which I learned through one of Eddie Minnis' cartoons. But now I'm interested. I'd like to know where exactly was it and what's the story behind it.
Yes, And in that community, we also had two theaters. Movie theaters where I used to do the films.
Yeah,
I used to do the film with Thaddeus. Thaddeus just passed away. I can remember Miss May, and I could always remember the movies. I could always remember one of the movies we used to watch was a scary one, Frankenstein. Then you had Dracula. Then you had the Blob. Then you had the Doberman Pimp, the Doberman Gang. Then you had Superman. Then you had the Hulk. Man, I can remember everything. The Duke of Hazzard, Star Wars. Jaws was the scariest one.
Yeah, there was the corner of East Street. No? Yeah. The corner of East Street and Louis Street. Yes.
And I was a film director at a young age. I used to do the film upstairs. Okay, because Thaddeus would take a break, and he would normally go call me. And I would go up there, and he would teach me how to put the water on the film and everything. And I remember putting on Ben the Rat.
Putting on what?
The film Ben the Rat.
Okay.
This is the Rat. He was the boss. And in the theater, the Capitol Theater, you couldn't put down your popcorn or hot dog. The minute you put it down, the rat died. And that night, the rat was watching the movie Ben that night. You don't believe that? The rats were watching the movie Ben that night. I always remember this. Everyone was laughing. Yeah, it was awesome. But the whole thing about the community of Grunstein. We had Mahalia Jackson came down there. We had Muhammad Ali came down there. We had Gladys Knight came down there. We had all kind of stars came down in Grunstein, and they went to the local entertainment spots. Yeah. There were over 1,000 small businesses in the area of Grunstein. And you can imagine the revenue. I'm going to say this. For those who could remember, I was a little boy. On the streets, the Lower Street, Hay Street, Taylor Street used to be littered with currents. You hear me, Yuli? People never used to pick up money back in the days. That's how much money used to be around, how much people was employed. The fisherman, when I used to go and order fish from the fisherman, when he used to come and he say, Fishman. He lived in Port Ski. He have his jack, he have his grunts, he have a snapper, he had a barcode there, he'd have the goggle eyes, red snapper, and he would come. And when he come, he'd say, what you buying? And his bicycle wheel was small in the front, and he had this big basket. And Yuli, when this man go in the pocket, I see he had this big gunk of money like this. American and Bahamian. And when he giving you change, a couple dollars drop, he ain't even worrying about that because that's how much money was around back in the day. The streets was littered with 25 cents, 50 cents. Every shortcut you go on, you could find money. That's how rich the Bahamian people was back in the early 60s, 70s, and early 80s, Yuli. Anyone can tell you that. In those areas, money used to be on the ground. Coins. No one used to pick up coins. 25 cents, 10 cents, 50 cents. They used to be on the ground. People never used to pick up. But then when we lost our identity, the drug era, we lost our culture, we lost our trade, we gone from that to what we are now. So we are actually reinventing the wheel. Really, that's how it was. The streets used to be littered. And anyone who listened to the show, y'all could remember the days when the streets used to be littered with coins. When Bahamian people would go in their pockets. And when they go to pay the fishman or the fishman come to give you change and he drop his money, he never used to pick it up. That's how.
I was always picking up the pennies.
Yes, now we can't even.
The lucky pennies.
Now you can't.
Now
you can't even find a penny.
No, because we retired the penny.
Retired the penny.
but no 25 cents, no. So I missed that era.
Yeah. So we have the great to be and I'm glad for you being my partner. I just want people to know that Yuli is an extraordinary Bahamian. And his concern is about the development of the country and things what he see just by interacting with me has become a part of his life. Because he meet these people, he talk to these people. And like I said, he's a great Central Bank. He's my good friend, but I'm telling you on the ground that these are the people I'm working with to make a change and change the concept of bringing empowerment to the inner city community, bringing the tourists from over the hill to come in our community so that they could spend a few sand dollars, the cryptocurrency, just all the stuff we want to train.
Well, the sand dollar has nothing to do with cryptocurrency, right? The sand dollar is a digital version of the Bahamian dollar, and it makes really sense.
It makes sense.
It makes total sense. Now, you have your kid in school, and your kid forgot the lunch money, right? Then I can send with a few moves of my fingertip. Send my kid the cent dollars on their phone, and then in the schools are now starting to accept cent dollar and problem solved. I have, when we did the lionfish,
yes.
We had a really good team of fishermen in West End, Grand Bahama. We couldn't wire the money to the bank in Freeport. It would have taken them an hour just to go there. So what did we do? We used Island Luck and deposited in like an account, and then they could get the money through Island Luck. We don't have to do this anymore. We use sand dollar. They just have to have their app on their phone. Exuma, more and more vendors are accepting cent dollar. So especially from island to island, makes total sense. And sorry, last thing.
Go ahead.
If you're cashless, you are not a target anymore either. So if people know, there's no cash, you might be safer through that too. No?
And this is good information because in doing so, as we want to improve the community, change the mindset, we want to bring this concept into the inner city community for our vendors to be able to use this kind of app.
Absolutely. And last year, yes, I think it was last year, there was the 50 most innovative projects, I think you could say, the most innovative projects in the world. Okay, the 50. And I think one or two was no, one or two was some COVID medication made sense, right? And we were, and I don't want to lie now, but we were like number 3 or number 4 with the cent dollar.
Wow.
And we are talking about literally a project around the world.
Terry?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know that the European community is trying to get a digital currency. America is trying to get a digital currency, because another another thing people forget: producing, minting coins or printing money is expensive. It's really expensive. So if you have a digital currency, you don't have these expenses anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think these are all advantages, and I think our Governor Roll, who is this is something he envisioned, is doing really an amazing job there.
Wow, wow. So that's why I'm saying, as a leader, I got to bring in best information, the best technology that is useful, not harmful to the community, to bring in there for those residents in the community. Because we want to bring the $1 there. I listen to Erin Green talk about it and make sense. I listen to, she do a fantastic job of advertising it, and I wanted to get some more information on it that I'm going to understand, and knowing you from Central Bank. So we're making good progress. Yeah. And then we have the connection, because when the new center is built, we are looking also to train the residents who are involved in the business aspect, even those who are not involved, to get themselves involved in the $1.
Yeah, I mean, it will. Don't say it's
not crypto. Not, I know it have nothing to do with crypto. Excuse me. $1 has not. Listen, let me put it again. $1 has nothing to do with crypto.
Nothing. Yeah, and but what will not work is that visitors are paying with $100 unless they are. Returning visitors, or they have a $1 wallet. It might be possible then that you could connect this to the cruise ships.
Maybe
it could be that that basically they are loading up their $1 wallet for the time. They are here in the Bahamas.
Makes sense.
And then they can spend it. And again, there is a security aspect of it. If people really know, you don't have any cash on you. You don't need it, because you have your phone and you can pay everywhere with your $1. That's another interesting aspect.
Wow.
Yeah? So, but again, as you mentioned, like with it has just nothing to do with cryptocurrency, and there is this misunderstanding still out there.
It's a stack mode. They're thinking the two is connected.
Yeah, and it's not.
No.
Did I mention that it's not connected?
It's not connected. Again, the $1 is not connected to the cryptocurrency.
Has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do.
And this is a Bahamian innovation. IDEN is one of the third most greatest out of the 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, I mean this was really something.
It's more like how guy.
And again, countries like the United States, they are trying to do the same, but they are years away.
Wow.
Years away.
Yeah. So listen. I used to be the closest to Bay Street. So let me tell you all up in that area. Oh. For those who live in the Grandstand and Mason Addition area, there's progress going on. You might not see it. Think about what you would like to do in the future. And if you put together a plan, like how we put together our plan in our small community, to turn it into a pilot project, it's going to be very beneficial in the future for the next generation of that community, to change their mindset and to give them a better opportunity of empowerment, education, and a what you call self-esteem, you know? Because I was listening to my friend, this lady, so I'm going to call her name, this lady, Celeste. You know, she's a wonderful young lady. It's my cousin also. And she was so excited just to get a driver's license yesterday. You know what I mean? When she came in, you could see the smile. She was so happy just to get a driver's license. It shows you that when you accomplish something, it makes you feel good. And we want to help those in the area as we get stronger to do the same thing, to get their to get their passport, to get their driver's license, to get their business license, you know, and get them a little small sniping to get them started if they're committed and dedicated to being the change that is happening in the community. You know, and that's what it's all about. And that's what we're doing. We're providing an opportunity. We're looking at that community. Like I say, Yuli was walking in the area and he could look at this and say this green space and wow, this is beautiful. This tree is beautiful, you know. And I got a student from Vienna who did an extremely good job of finding ways to do a research on how they could tie in Bay Street with over there to find ways and to bring empowerment and opportunity. And if you look at the way they did now, that's the way it was going on now in government. The Urban Design Lab, which was the overlay initiative, and now it's still continuing with a different name or a different aspect. But me and Yuli and maybe Ms. Alexander Maylers and Lucas Metropolis, we are working still in the community. So we are not stopped. Government came and gone. We have not stopped. We're committed to this. You know, it's gone beyond us. The only thing we can do now is to keep on fighting to see that we make that big change that we want and to see the stuff. We want to see those walls mural. We want to see those garbage bins on the side of the road where people no longer throwing the garbage out the car windshield no more. Kids walking on the side of the road.
You know, another
Go ahead, Yuli.
great thing to have would be sidewalks.
Yeah, sidewalks.
You know,
And we can put some little sets out.
yeah.
on the side of the road.
So when you see how tourists are going from Dunkin' Donuts, Cumberland,
And they walk
up
on the sidewalk.
to Grey Cliff,
Great Cliff.
it gives me a heart attack.
Wow.
You know, because there is no sidewalk, or the sidewalk is just so narrow
Yeah.
that it doesn't deserve to be called
A sidewalk.
And this is simple. I would say simple things. Probably if you are at the Ministry of Works and you have to look at this, it's not that simple. It's not that simple because you have the width of the road, etc. But that would be important, you know.
So cars turning in that way and people walking. I saw it a few times too, you know.
That's not safe.
I think you should put a railing on the side of it too.
You know, what might be a very beautiful connection then from basically West Bay Street up to the Grey Cliff area, when the U.S. Embassy finally moved, and then what is it, Princess Street, the beautiful street where the U.S. Embassy is right now.
Okay.
So between McDonald's and that can be open then. That is a great little connection between, you know, the West Bay Street and the National Art Gallery and so on.
And listen to this. Remember, Inside the Industry, the show about solutions. How Yuli is talking now. When I was younger, there were stalls set up through there, and we used to come from there to get the Long Wharf. But when the U.S. Embassy gone there, they closed down the entrance. There are complaints about the straw vendors on Bay Street now going in rotation because, you know, they are competing against one another, so they're working on shift. Now, everyone's complaining that, you know, they can't make no money because, you know, we're on shift. And then sometimes when the cruise ship and certain customers come, and then certain times their shift is not the right shift. And I always said to myself, we're not being creative. That's an arch, what you're talking about right now. You can imagine, like you said, you know, do something with it. You could imagine some of those vendors properly trained. He had a little space, and you put that in one side open back. The guests are coming from Grey Cliff. They're turning down the way. They're going to the National Gallery. Through there would be a place for about 20 vendors. You know, the vendors that are situated at the New Square Market It's too much competition. Everyone's selling the same stuff. But you can imagine that's about 200 vendors there. You're supposed to scratch them out on Bay Street so that they have different opportunities. Guests coming from another, guests coming from another. So you have to scratch them, but they can't be in one spot. Because the guests are coming there and they're seeing all the same stuff. But if they are spread out on the whole of Bay Street, some should have same place you talked about. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
spread them out. Spread them out.
Yeah, I've been to the straw market recently, and it is it's tough. It's really
too much
tough.
competition.
Yeah,
too much
visual overkill.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much people.
But again, this is in other markets the same. If you are in North Africa, if you are in a souk. Then you have to deal with that similar environment, So it's nothing out of the ordinary.
But you can be creative.
I'm with Pam Burnside, and I look at the products, and I say, well, you know what? They are not original, authentic. Bahamian, and this is
that's
just
what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, and this is, I think, what people are looking for. Really, they are coming to the Bahamas and they want something Bahamian and not something made in China.
Yuli, do you see the work from the people from the disabled? Yuli, I couldn't believe it. Yuli, the people from the disabled could do better work than some people who they got 2 hands and 2 eyes. I was out on Long Wharf about 4 years ago, going to hear my friend Nate, and they are disabled. They are the disabled team out there. One was blind, one was deaf, right? And one couldn't. One was blind, one was deaf, and one had some type of ailment with their arms, leg, I think paralyzed. Yuli, 3 of them working together. 3 of them together, their eyes, ears, and leg, and they there. So I couldn't believe it. So I stand up and I cross the road. So I order one hot dog and I stand up eating the hot dog. I say, what's going on here? And I look at them. I say, all these people from the disabled. So when I go and look at the work, you need to see the slippers. This look like they come with the factory.
And where? Where are they? Where?
They're from the disabled.
Like
the home, like it was a home, disabled. The disabled people home, and they was part of the project.
Yeah.
They're selling the authentic Bahamian stuff. And they had slippers, they had bags, and they do this with their hands, and they're right there doing this stuff, sharing you that they was doing these work themselves.
Yeah.
The deaf one telling this one, the deaf one, like, during this, the one telling this one, and they working together. I 3 of them together get all the senses, like a whole person.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing.
I know the BAPD on Dolphin.
I think there's some stapling.
On Dolphin Drive. Yes,
there's some stapling.
Yeah.
There's some stapling.
Okay. Yeah,
That's exactly where it's from. I get it now.
Okay.
Stapling. Stapling home.
Yeah.
For the disabled, I think.
Yeah, but there are more. There's a BAPD.
Right.
And then there's the Stapleton School. And then, well, I have to look into it. See, you learn a new thing every day.
I would like for people who are in the scrawl work industry to please go and look at the disabled people and buy their project wholesale. Just get a reasonable price and apply it to your stalls. The tourists want authentic Bahamian stuff, and you get it from the disabled. Man, I tell you, couldn't believe it. Go ahead.
Another great set of products actually is coming out of Fox Hill.
What's that?
There was a market once on Blake Road at the Salos.
What you doing over there?
Project. What?
What you doing over there?
On Blake Road?
Yeah.
Look, dude, I get around, man. So I think it was part of the Salos project, and it was beautiful straw bags, and they came out of Fox Hill.
Wow.
Yeah, and then actually I went to Fox Hill, to look at them, and they called it. They had little labels, and it called prison industries.
Wow.
Yeah, and I haven't seen them since, but I was impressed. Great quality.
And authentic behemoth stuff.
Yeah.
We have all the tools. It's just that we got to find a way to harness it and make it accessible to our guests. Not our guests. Our customers. Mm-hmm. They're not guests, they're customers. They come here on vacation. They come to spend some leisure. All right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you is just wonderful. But I just want the general public to know that, we're not sitting around waiting on the Almighty, waiting on the government. No, we picking, we scrapping, we using the little connection we get, which is big connection. The small project we're doing are actually big projects. We are seeing these little small things are actually big things, and we are seeing the progress. And this is taking us and giving us ideas as we go along, so we can come up with solutions. Sometimes we just talk and then we come up with an idea, and then we come up with a solution to the idea, and then we apply it. So go ahead.
It just takes so long.
Yeah,
Again, the TED Talk 10 years ago, was basically talking about the same things. It's like, again, I'm back with the cartoons. The cartoons are 50 years old, and it's just still the same
thing.
But it's just.
But think about this. Look at the restaurant. It was just a frame, not just most finishing. Next time it's Christmas, I should be up and running.
Okay.
You understand?
But you're not cooking. Right?
No, I can't cook. I have some good cooking. I'm going into seafood. I'm going into crawfish. I'm going to sell fish, and etc. But I'm also going to send like stew fish, stew conch, and etc. From when the guests come, I want to get an authentic beam and stuff, and for us, crab and rice and etc. It's going to be real nice restaurant to come and chill over the hill, and then we also provide tours to the local churches in that respective community, and we're going to teach the history about that community. So a lot of work in progress, but destination is right there, and I think now that we're increasing our tourist products. We close to 7 million. We estimated at 10 million, and an increase in all. And I think that if we capitalize on that, if we understand the need to develop the inner city community, teach our kids about education, the right training, the right set of trade, change their minds and provide opportunity for them in the inner city community, I think we'd see a serious reduction in the country. In fact, I see a serious reduction in the crimes committed in our community over the last 10, 15 years. The reduction of crime has dropped tremendously in Grandstand over the years. Murders, attempted murders, fighting, house breaking, stealing, even far as beautification. We had a lot of abandoned houses that is being eradicated. We had a lot of rats that being get eradicated. So we're seeing a lot of progress. In that period of that 10, 15-year period, we have done fairly good. It's a safe community. We don't have no sexual abuse cases in our community. Our kids are more disciplined. They're not so wild like how they was 20 years ago. I can tell you how the kids were in the community. They were wild. They were always cursing, can on bad. A lot of the kids have gone off to college.
Why do you think that is?
Because all of us working together. Pastor Huda role doing this thing at Salem Union Baptist Church. Right? Pastor Ferguson, who was doing this work through Big Harvest Community Center. Myself, working along with yourself, Lenahan Bahamas, working with many different organizations in the community. That's provided that opportunity. Then the police doing their part.
I think Lenda and Bahamas made a big
and
big
Lenda and
difference.
Bahamas. And that made a big difference because they're working day to day. They're dealing with the old, they're dealing with the young, and then my personal programs, like the basketball programs that I've been doing over the years. One of my students now, Edina. I know you remember Edina. Remember the other thing up?
Right.
You know what Edina is now?
No?
Edina is top prospect in the United States of America. Edina now is being accepted in college. Edina has scored 50 points twice. Last time she played, she scored 52 points. She grabbed 18 rebounds and about 10 or 12 assists and a lot about 4 steals. Now, Dina is a top prospect. And you remember, Dina, when she was doing the garden.
Right.
So you see, the opportunity. Now she's in America. Now her sisters, her cousins is with her now. You know?
Respect.
Leah's with her now. They just won championship. They won championship over here. We train them. We give them the opportunity. Now, Adina is on her way to college. And if she keep this up, she will be added to the women's NBA along with Leah. And then one before that, her cousin.
Happy for them. Yeah.
And then one before that, Shanae and Bristol.
Yeah.
So you see, we have done tremendous. There are some things, and even remember, our last student now, who got adopted from Mr. Biat.
Yes.
You remember that's how working now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The only black person in the Scottish school, where it was now, I can't remember. And that's us again, Yuli. We got him adopted with Mr. Biat.
Yeah.
Now
he's doing really well.
So Yuli, we have done things. We have done big things, Yuli. When I look on the news, I saw him.
Yeah.
I got him adopted with Mr. Biat.
Yeah.
Now he is a head boy in the first black.
He moved even further. He was there, as you said, first black head boy in that
Scottish school.
Scottish boarding school, and he's now in Lausanne and studies gastronomy and hospitality in a very, very good school in Switzerland.
And his brothers and sisters are doing very well as well.
No. Okay. I know about him. Let's see.
So you see. So I want to just thank you for everything you're doing for the country. I just wanted the general public to know people are actually concerned about the country. They're doing something about it, and we're all in this together. You want to say something?
I just want to say, I really, really love this country. I really do, and we have so many opportunities. And for now, I think we should just rest and have a great Independence weekend.
Okay, I want to say thanks to my good friend, creator of Central Bank, Yuli Wogas, and he's also my partner in inner city development and many other projects that you see happening around the country. He's very creative. He's a true Bahamian. All right? So I hope you enjoy the show on this wonderful Friday. Drive safe. Don't drink too much at night. And just enjoy yourself, okay? So see you next week on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio. I'm Valentino Brown, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City. See you next week and enjoy. Mr. Knowles and family, good night to you, sir, if you're listening.
Definitely fine about Clayton, bro. Boy, I from Clayton, bro. Ah, my son, that boy, what happened? Huh? Straight to the main town, boy, from